it's Chris of Light and Joy Designs. I got a package today, a big box from Premier Yarns, and I know that some of you like to see the new yarn, so I'm going to open it and share it with you. Okay, let's open it. So I hope you guys can see this. Let's take it inside to take a closer look. Hi crochet friends, it's Chris here of Light and Joy Designs, and today I'm showing you the yarn that I got from Premier Yarns. I got 3 different types and I'm going to go over each one of them with you. The first one is Premier Basix. The next one is called Premier Everyday. And then the last one that I got is Premier Home Raffia. So let's take a look. Why don't we just take a look at this one first? The Premier Home Raffia it's a tape yarn, and it's made out of 100% cellulose rayon. It's 87 yards for this ball, and it is a number 4 weight yarn. And I just bought one of these because I'm thinking it was on sale, and I wanted to see how the colors were, because sometimes the colors on their websites aren't as nice in person, and these ones really are as nice. They really have those pretty purples in there. This colorway is called Fractal. And yes, sometimes I use 2 pairs of glasses to see the really small print. The next yarn that I got was Premier Everyday yarn, and this yarn is also a number 4 weight yarn. I only got 3 skeins of this because I wanted to see what their colors were like. It's a little bit more expensive. This color here, it's showing up on the camera a little deeper than it looks to me in person. It's a little bit, actually just a little bit lighter than this. And this colorway is called Peony. And this everyday yarn, I would say, is kind of an equivalent to the Vanna's Choice yarn. So let me show you the other 2 colors I got. This was the one that really excited me, and I got a few of these because this one was on sale. They had select colors on sale. And this color is Bright Violet. And that's kind of showing up just the way it actually looks. It's really, gosh, it's just the most vivid fuchsia color you can imagine. And then this one was also on sale because probably not a lot of people work with this kind of color. It's really very, very bright orange, and it's called, let's see here, Flame Orange, and it really is. It appears more orange as I'm looking at it than it does here on the screen. So it's really bright, but it's a little bit lighter, a little more orangey. This screen is making it look a little bit more salmon color. So those are the 3 colors that I got, and maybe I'll do something fun with those. So now we can go to the Premier Basix yarn, and I'm going to do something that hopefully will be of value to you guys, which is I'm going to compare it with Red Heart Super Saver. I love this yarn, and Big Twist Value, because they're all very similar acrylic four weight yarns, number 4 weight yarns, worsted weight. So let's take a look at those. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is just the pricing on these different yarns, because when I feel them, I have to say that they all pretty much feel very similar. The Premier Basix and I Love This Yarn have very similar feel. The I Love This Yarn might be slightly softer than this, but this is pretty soft. And then when I compare it to Super Saver, Super Saver is definitely a rougher feel. It definitely has a rougher feel. This is much softer. This one is I Love This Yarn, and this is the Premier Basix. And yeah, this one is softer. The I Love This Yarn is softer than the Premier Basix, but it's pretty close. So, and then the Big Twist yarn. This is, you can get this at Joanns, Big Twist value. Let me feel these here together. I would say that the Big Twist value is a little softer than the Basics, the Premier Basix, but this is still pretty soft for a value yarn. It's really nice. Okay, so the prices are Big Twist. That's this one. Sorry. The Big Twist value at Joanns is 380 yards. It's got the longest yardage of the 4 types of value yarns. These are all acrylic, 100% acrylic yarns. And it is regularly $3.49 a skein. This week it is on sale for $2.99, so that's pretty good. Especially it's the longest yardage, and it's a really great price. And it's actually the softest. So, you know, softness, color, price, all of these things are consideration. So, you know, you may like the price and the yardage on this, but maybe you really prefer the color in one of the other kinds. And the reason why I got all these yarns is some of them were on sale, and also I really wanted to try the Premier Basix to see what it was like, and their colors, it's a newer yarn, and their colors were so nice that I wanted to see if they were as nice in person. And I have a granny square project coming up, which I wanted to have a lot of bright and beautiful colors to go into it, so that's why I bought all these yarns. Okay, so Big Twist is 380 yards, $3.49. Red Heart Super Saver is 364 yards, and it is $3.69 retail. That's at Joanns, and most stores are right around that price as well. Currently it is on sale for $3.49 at Joanns, so this one's on sale. The Red Heart Super Saver has some really great colors, really nice vibrant colors, and maybe I will do a separate video on just the colors that I have of this one, of Red Heart Super Saver. And then the third one is called I Love This Yarn. This one is 355 yards, and it's the shortest of the 4 that I'm looking at today with you. And it is $4.99, so it's really pretty expensive. It is soft, and they do have some nice colors, and in their they have a lot of different solids to solid colors to choose from. This is over at Hobby Lobby, and sometimes they have great sales on yarn. So it's this one's really worth it, especially if you can get it on one of their sales. They also have some really beautiful variegated and color striping yarns in their value acrylic yarn. Okay, so then the last one for the details is the Premier Basix. It's 359 yards, so it is it's the 3rd shortest, and but it comes in at a real value price of $2.99. That's their regular price, and sometimes Premier has them on sale. So this is a great choice. It's a great choice. So next, let me show you the colors of these different yarns. And before we do that, let me show you my cowl, because some of you might be wondering about this. This is not knit. This is actually Tunisian crochet, Tunisian knit stitch, and it's made with a very fancy stitch combination, but it's totally doable. It's very easy to do, and I will have a tutorial on how to make this plus a matching hat, and that's coming out in 2 or 3 weeks from today when I'm filming, so sometime in February 2020. All right, so next let's take a look at the different colors in the Basics, the Premier Basix yarn, to see how they look. Okay, so the first 3 that I'm going to show you are in the orange family. I'll show you this lightest one here first. This one is called Ballet. And it's a really, really nice light orange, kind of peachy color. It's really light and very pretty, and it's got a really nice saturation of color. The next one is this one, and this one's actually called Peach. So I'll show you those 2 next to each other. The peach one is a little deeper than this one, the Ballet one. And then the last one is very similar to this one, especially as they're showing up here on the camera. But this one is called Coral, and I'll describe to you the difference. I would say that the Coral has more pigment, it's brighter, and the peach one is a little bit more subdued, but they're still very bright, both bright and pretty. If you're looking for the brighter of the 2, I would pick the Coral. Okay, so now let's take a look at the pinks. And I've put the Ballet one back in because as I'm looking at it, you know, color is very dependent on what it's next to. So depending on, with the Ballet, it's one of those colors that is really on the border. It's really on the border between pink, as it's showing up here on the screen, and that kind of very light peach. So this one again is the Ballet. This one here is, as you can see, a very nice bright pink, and this one is called It's called just pink. It's called pink, and it is 100% pink. So you can, when these two are next to each other, now you can kind of see the orange, that the slight amount of orange that's in this one when it's next to this very bright pink. Then we have this one, which is called Taffy, and I'll show it next to the Ballet. The Taffy has, it's kind of like a salmon, it's kind of like a salmon color, and you know, I'm just looking at them here. This one makes this one look more pink, because this one has, you know, salmon has a little bit of that orange hue in it. Okay, and then the last pink one that I got is called Fuchsia. Now, I wouldn't, it's showing up kind of fuchsia-like. I would call this one here, this was the Everyday yarn, and this one was called Bright Violet. This is what I think of when I think of fuchsia. This color here, kind of a little bit more purpley. So this one is a little bit more like a hot pink, although it is called fuchsia. So just to know that, and I'll just show you all of these. So this is fuchsia. This one is the Taffy. This one is pink. And this one is Ballet. So those are kind of nice pinks, really nice colors. Okay, so next let's take a look at these two purples, and I'm glad that the sun just came in so that you can see them a little better, because this one here is a deep color. This one here is called Eggplant, and it's you know, quite a deep, it's a darker color, and when I hold it up here, my camera kind of somehow adjusts the light and it shows it up a little lighter. This one is called Purple. So those two might make a nice combination. I will show them to you compared to the red, sorry, this one here is I Love This Yarn, and this is their color here. This is called Grape. So you can kind of see the difference in the colors. It's got a lot more blue in it than these two. And then one other one, this is Red Heart Lavender. So this one is Red Heart Lavender, and it's a lighter, more muted color. So if you're looking at purples, these are how they compare. Okay, so here are some blues. Let's take a look at each one of these. So the first one here is, this is a light blue, and this one is called Light Blue. I like how they name their colors. They're very easy to figure out what their color is. And I wanted to get this light blue to see how bright it was, because a lot of times light blue in yarn I find tends to be a little dull. And I would say, for me, I'm a person who really, I like a lot of saturation in my colors. You know, obviously light blue is going to be less saturated anyways, but this is a little lighter maybe than I might love. There's other light blues that I like, such as Lion Brand jeans. They have one of their colors is a light blue color, and that one I love. Okay, so then this one is Aqua. So I'll just put them next to each other. This one is very bright and very pretty. I really like this color. And and actually when you look at these two together, it makes me like this color better. So kind of going back to what I said earlier, how color is really relative. I mean, it's absolute, but it's also very relative in terms of how you see it and whether you like it and whether it looks good. And I think that this light blue looks really pretty next to this aqua color. Another blue that I have here is called Turquoise. So let me put it up next to the aqua. I was really curious to see how they compared. This turquoise is really nice and bright. It's like, if you're doing projects where you want bright colors, like flowers or granny squares like I'm going to be doing, these colors are really nice and bright. They're really full of a lot of saturation in their color. So you can't go wrong with these two. I'll just put the other one next to it too, so you can kind of see that. All right, and then this last one that I got is called Royal Blue. Classic royal blue, perfect, in my mind anyways, perfect royal blue color. It's showing up on the screen exactly how it looks to me here in person. So it's a really beautiful bright blue color. I happen to have a Red Heart Super Saver in a very similar color. This color is called just blue, and it's slightly lighter than this royal blue color from Premier. This one's Red Heart Super Saver. So just so you can kind of compare those colors. So these are the four colors one more time. And when you look at them, when you're seeing this color next to the other three, it makes it look very green, doesn't it? But when it's on its own, it does look more blue. So just a little interesting tidbit about color. Okay, so now let's take a look at some greens. This first one is called Sea Glass. I love that name. It is showing up on the screen just like it shows up in front of my eyes. It's a really pretty, bright, light green color. It's got even though it's light, it's got a lot of color to it. So I really like this one. This next one is called Peacock, and it's showing up a little bit more blue on the screen there. I guess it is, it does have a little bit of blue. It is a blue-green. So it is like a teal. And I can show you this color here next to Red Heart's yarn, which is this one is called Real Teal, this Red Heart. So this Peacock one that they have is a little bit more blue, and it's showing up more blue on the screen than it is in person. But just so you can kind of have a feel for how they compare. So if you are looking for a more blue teal, Premier Basix, that's a good one. And then this last green color that I got is called Juniper, and it's a very deep hunter green or forest green color. As I bring it close to the screen is is lightening it up a lot. This is more like what you're seeing right now. This deepness of color is what you see. It's a very rich, deep forest green, and it's very nice, and it will look great with some of these other greens. It's funny how these two make this look more blue. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in the Aqua again. And there the Aqua looks, these greens make the Aqua look more blue. Whereas when it was with the blues, it could look a little bit more, you saw its greens more. And I wonder, actually, if I put this one next to these blues, if it looks more green, a little bit, makes it look a little bit more green, but it still has that blue tint. But I can tell you that in person, it definitely has, it's definitely like a green in the green family. So. Okay, so I wanted to give you one other little piece of information when looking at the Premier Basix yarn with regards to color. When you look on their website, you'll be able to compare it against what I've shown you here on the video. But some of the colors are true. So like their color samples, some of them are true to how they look, and some of them are kind of off. So like the coral is true. The ballet that they're showing is showing as really like bubblegum pink, and as I showed you, it is not bubblegum pink. It's kind of almost like a peachy light pink. What they show for their pink color almost looks like kind of like a light, a salmony pink, and when I showed that to you, it's really a bright, very bright pink. The fuchsia looks just like they show it. The taffy looks pretty much just like they show it. The purple is pretty close, but the eggplant color that they have on their website is this really bright, it's like a royal purple, and that's not how it looks, you know, and they're showing it with kind of this real sheen to it, and that's not how it looks in person. So it doesn't mean that it's a bad color, but that the color that they show on their website is not accurate to how it looks. The royal blue's pretty accurate, maybe shows a little bit lighter on their website. The sea glass probably shows just a tad brighter than it is. The aqua is pretty close. The turquoise is pretty close. The peacock is showing a little lighter than it is. The juniper is accurate, and the peach is accurate. I think I reviewed peach too. So that's the accuracy of the colors versus their website. So one other detail about these 4 yarns is that the Big Twist value yarn comes in 70 different color choices. That includes solids and striping yarns. The Red Heart Super Saver comes in 120 different color options. That includes solids, stripes, variegated, and ombres. The I Love This yarn comes in 64 solid colors and 102 variegated and striping yarns. So that one is really, they have a lot of options there at the Hobby Lobby I Love This yarn. And the Premier Basix currently comes in 50 solid colors. It doesn't have any of the variegated or striping yarns, and I'm going to say yet. I don't know if they have plans to do that, but my guess is that, you know, maybe if they do well, they might have those in those kind of yarns as well. Premier has plenty of striping and variegated yarns to choose from, even outside of their basics line. So that's the little detail on the color options for those 4 different yarns. And one other thing regarding pricing, the Premier Basix, it shows when you go to the website, it shows at $2.99. And then when you scroll down and you look at the different colors, it says $2.99 sale. So, you know, usually on these websites, they'll say at the top, they'll have like the regular price crossed out and then the sale price. And at the top of theirs, it just says $2.99. So it kind of looks like that's their regular pricing. But it does say sale. So I just wanted to put that little disclaimer in there in case their price is higher than $2.99 when you go to look at it. But right now it's showing as $2.99, and it's been that way for a couple weeks, so maybe it's an introductory price. But it's a good price, so it's a good time to buy it. Okay, so let's take a look now at just a quick little sample of crocheting with the Premier Basix. This one again is the pink, and I'm going to be using a 6.0 millimeter hook. It came with a really nice, easy to find pull string. I don't know, pull tab. I don't know what you call it. So it was easy to get out, and it seems to come out nicely from the center with no yarn barf, as people sometimes call it. So let's just do a few stitches here in the Premier Basix, see how it feels. Feels pretty smooth. It is acrylic yarn, so it has the feel of acrylic yarn. Let's try some double crochets here. So it's feeling great. There's nothing about it that is objectionable. It's not coming untwisted like the twist in it. I find that like with the red heart yarn, that yarn tends to kind of, I don't know what the right word is. It's not that it's fraying, but it becomes kind of untwisted, so you have all these like strands and your hook gets caught on them. So this one seems to have a tighter twist that doesn't create that kind of problem. So let's do a row of Tunisian just to see how that feels. Because you know, when you're doing Tunisian crochet, different yarns can really kind of show up differently. You know, kind of what I noticed the most is depending on their stretchiness. This feels really good. I'm just doing Tunisian simple stitch, and I have quite a few patterns in Tunisian crochet if this interests you at all. It's such a cool such a cool style of crochet, because like the cowl I showed you before, it can look like knitting, but it can also have this really cool woven look. You can do some really cool stuff with it, and it's not just for Afghans. You can use it, you can make some really lacy things, and or you can make things that are really thick and warm. So it's very versatile. All right, so let's see what this is like when we pull it out. Does it stick or catch? And I'm pulling it I'm really ripping it, and no problem. So as far as workability, this yarn is awesome. Super easy to work with. I would say definitely easier than Red Heart, because it doesn't come, it's the winding on it, or the twist on it, is really nice and tight. Okay, so let's take a look at Premier Everyday yarn, and to examine its quality and workability. This is the colorway Peony, and this is a number 4 weight yarn, if I didn't already say that, 203 yards, and it is very soft. If I compare it with the Premier Basix that we've been looking at as well, it's definitely softer. It's probably a more of a premium yarn. It's anti-pilling, so it's not going to get those fuzzies on it. This yarn reminds me the most of Vanna's Choice, and I actually brought a ball of that to show you, to see how that compares. So here's Vanna's Choice, and let me just raise this up a little bit so you can see them side by side. Vanna's Choice is, let's see how many yards this is. This is 170 yards. So it's 30 yards less than the Premier Everyday yarn. So it's kind of, it is a thicker, the strand on it is thicker. And I'll bring that up for you to see. You can see that it's thicker. It's probably not necessarily heavier, but this is a thinner strand. This is kind of loftier. This one is, let's see how many ounces. This is 3.5 ounces, and this is 4 ounces. So I guess this one is denser. It would be a heavier yarn. This is a loftier yarn. And as far as softness goes, the Premier Everyday yarn is definitely softer than the Vanna's Choice, and the Vanna's Choice is, I would say, just like maybe a percentage point or two softer than actually the Premier Basix, or maybe more than a percentage, maybe 10% softer than the Premier Basix. So. And as far as pricing goes, this yarn is normally $3.99 per skein, and you only get 203 yards, so it is a pricier yarn. But I did mention this color, which is called Bright Violet, and also the, let's see, this orange color, Flame Orange. These two are on sale right now. It's January 27th, 2020. So if you do like those two, you can get those on sale at premier.com. So let's take a look at how this works up. So this yarn doesn't have an easily accessible pull tie from the center. I'm sure you could get at it. I'm not going to bother to do that. I'm just going to do a quick little row of crochet to see how it feels. Actually, I'm going to use a 6.0 millimeter hook, even though it says to work with 5.5. I usually work with a little bigger. So I'm just doing a few chains here. And let's do some single crochets. As I'm crocheting with this, it actually feels a little bit like Karen, I think it's called Karen Soft yarn. Has that same kind of silky feel to it. And it does have that same sheen that the Karen Soft yarn has. It is a thinner strand. It's also a thinner strand than the Basics, the Premier Basix. So it's kind of a skinnier number 4 weight yarn. I'm going to do a couple of double crochets here. Feels nice. I know it says that it's anti-pilling, so that'll be great to see, because nobody likes that. Nobody likes pilling after you've spent so much time making something so, you know, beautiful, put all that time in, and then it gets all those fuzzies and pills on them. So yeah, this feels actually really, this feels really nice. Let me just do one little row of Tunisian to see how it feels for that. I would say it's not like an ultra stretchy yarn, whereas the Vanna's Choice is it's a stretchier yarn, probably because it has that loft to it. And as I'm going along, the twist in the yarn is not coming undone, like I was describing, like I describe about the Red Heart Super Saver, has a tendency to untwist. This is just Tunisian simple stitch. Yeah, I would say it feels good. It's a nice yarn, and I really this Premier Everyday yarn, the colors are really very vivid, very bright, and so if you're a color person like me and you really like those bright colors, because sometimes some yarns are very like kind of dingy. Their colors are dingy. These are not dingy at all. These are really bright and pretty, and the Premier Everyday yarn has a really nice sheen to it as well. So let's see how it is when we pull it out. Yeah, pulls out very easily, frogs very easily. So that is a good one. Definitely recommend it for, you know, if you want a lighter, meaning like a thinner worsted weight yarn, if you're looking for just the right color, because you can't get these colors in the cheaper yarns. They don't, you know, generally they're not having these really bright, or not necessarily not as bright, but the hue is not the same. So let's take a look at the next yarn. So if you are looking to get, you know, different colors than you can get in the the value yarns. It's a good yarn to try out, probably maybe even for smaller projects. And also, you know, look for sales, because like these two were on sale for $1.99, so that's not bad. This one is regularly $3.99 at the Premier Everyday. Okay, so let's take a look at the Premier Home Raffia tape yarn. It's made with 100% cellulose rayon, and it is 87 yards. And I thought I would compare it with this Lion Brand Rewind yarn, which is also a tape yarn, but it is made out of, let's see what this one's made out of. This is made out of 70% polyester and 30% viscose, and this is 242 yards. This one was $4.99, so this is probably maybe a less expensive material, so it has more yardage. It's this is definitely softer, so you could actually use this for garments. This one really could only, it wouldn't be comfortable for garments. It would be good for bags or placemats or things like that. So let's take a look at working with this. It very much feels like straw. It says to work with a 5.5 millimeter hook. I'm just going to try it first with the, this is a 9 millimeter, just to see how that'll look. And one more thing, if we compare these two side by side, the Premier one is a little bit wider of a tape, and this one is considered a 5 weight. It probably weighs more. That's how they come up with these numbers, is by the actual weight of the yarn. So that since this is sort of like a straw, it's very light. Okay, so let's just see what this feels like. So I'm working with a plastic hook, and it does take a little bit of getting used to, because it kind of sticks with on the plastic. Let's just try a few stitches. Just doing some single crochets here. I'm sure that it's very easy to get used to once you are working with it a bit. So I probably wouldn't work with it in this size. So let's just take a look at their recommendation is to use a 5.5 millimeter hook, which seems really small, but okay, let's try that. Yeah, that actually feels better working with the smaller hook. So let's do some single crochets with it. It starts to come off of the ball very quickly. It unravels very quickly, because it's probably because it's so light. This will make a very sturdy bag, that's for sure. Make a great beach bag or market tote bag. That's a row of single crochet in that yarn. Let's try some double crochets. This is kind of cool. It's like a new experience working with this raffia yarn. It's really neat. You do have to kind of, I call it muscling it a little bit. It's a little bit harder to work with than a yarn, like, you know, regular yarn. But if I was working with this for a bag, I guess it all depends on what kind of bag you want, but you can see it does leave some holes as you're going. So maybe working in all single crochet might be the way to go. And I'm kind of crocheting a little bit loose here as well. Yeah, that'll be really fun to work with. Let's see what it looks like if we do a row of Tunisian here. We'll do 2 rows just to see how that looks. Might be nice to do a market bag in Tunisian. There's not a lot of those out there. Not that I've seen anyways. Have you guys worked with this yarn at all? If you have, let me know in the comments below. If there's any, maybe you guys have some tips and tricks about working with raffia yarn. Oh, this is nice. It has some nice subtle color changes in the yarn that are really nice. And I am working in simple stitch. Yeah, it's definitely not as easy to work with as, say, you know, regular soft yarns. You do have to muscle it a little bit more. It takes a little bit more muscle work in your hands. But that's nice. I like how the Tunisian looks on that. So let's see how this frogs out. Yeah, doesn't really stick. So that's good. So it's easy to frog. That'll be a fun one to work with. Okay, so thanks for watching my yarn friends, and if there's anything that you would like me to review in the future, let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested to see what I make with all this yarn, the Granny Square project that I have in mind, it's gonna be really cool. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to be alerted of that, subscribe below and click that notify bell so that you get alerted. And then if you're interested in free patterns, go ahead and click on over to my blog, lightandjoydesigns.com, where you can sign up for email alerts. In particular, the Crochet Magical Mystery Tour, which is my year-long crochet along where I deliver to you free a new pattern each week. And the goal is that with each of those patterns and tutorial, each one has a video step-by-step tutorial. The goal is that you will learn something new each week. So when you learn the new stitches, you can either do the pattern that I teach you, or you can, you can take that technique or that stitch combination and use it to make your own lovely project. So thank you for joining. Please give this a thumbs up if you liked it, if you found it valuable. Share it with your crochet friends, and we'll see you soon. Bye!